Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Bevies and Balls,
That's
a
right.
sports podcast where, with hot takes and beverages, everything great. I'm Mateus. Drink along with us, but please drink responsibly, of course. Today I'll be drinking some Moosehead beer, and Luca, my man, what are you up to today?
Luca is very tired today, but Luca's also partaking in some Moosehead beer. Again, we're not animals yet. We'll get to the spicy wines later in the week. But
My name's Parker, and sadly, I'm still 18, so I'm drinking some beautiful water over here. Just having a good time, drinking responsible.
Yes, sir. So, big topic in the sports world. We have to talk, I feel, about the NFL.
of course,
So, I say, looking back at last weekend, a championship weekend to remember. Parker, what were your main takeaways?
Well, so you saw a great game from Cincinnati, complete there against Kansas City.
Nah, Mahomes fucking choked, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nah.
Mahomes had 0 passer rating in the second half, man.
Yeah.
0.
look at
Zero.
overtime. I think 3 of those at that level. It was shocking coming from a guy of that
For
caliber.
the audience, whenever Parker usually or any of us says something that is too hot to handle or a take you don't agree with, please drink with us.
Cheers.
You're gonna need it.
So yeah, Chiefs are frauds. They're not winning next year either.
We didn't
Yeah,
get to that point.
You have to give credit though to that Cincinnati defense. The Cincinnati defense played an amazing game in that second half.
Oh, yeah.
That's very true.
By far, like it was the as everyone is always pointing out, the biggest turning point in that game was the last touchdown before the half, and then after that, it just felt like it was unstoppable, and it really showed the in a way the result also kind of defended the overtime sort of ruling as it was controversial last week between the Bills and the Chiefs, but we can get to that in a minute. But
Yeah, of course.
We also saw though Chase not play like one of his top 10 amazing games like that he has played in this season, breaking rookie records right, left, and center for receiving yards in single games, touchdowns, and doing stuff like that, and he wasn't even the big factor. So with the Cincinnati team able to do that, the question is now though, will they go on to win the Super Bowl against the other team,
No.
LA Rams, who beat the San Francisco 49ers.
Before he speaks, everything he says will be partially biased.
Yeah, I was about to say I do support the Rams. Due to the fact that I wasn't really big into football. My dad went to a Rams game, got a shirt, said screw it, I'm a Rams fan. So
It's all about merch for it.
yeah, that's basically it. I choose my teams based off of the logo. But the Rams, had a big comeback win over San Fran. It was really, the crowd was hilarious. A sea of red.
Yeah.
Even though it's
With the
supposed to
full
be in
five
Nice.
Full
Nice.
five there, man.
No tickets to 49ers. No.
No, but interestingly enough, the Super Bowl is also in LA. So, looking forwards now to the Super Bowl, do you think that perceived home field advantage will amount to anything?
I mean, if it was whatever it was last week, then unlikely, especially with the amount of Bengals faithful that will be in the building. Because this is a moment they've been waiting for since the 80s.
Yeah.
They haven't won a playoff game since the 90s, and now they're just here all of a sudden. No one expected them to be there. And Joe Burrow, God bless the man, he can say it whatever he wants. There's no way he realistically thought they'd be in this position at this point.
Nah, Joe Burrow knew it from the beginning. I don't know what the fuck you guys are on.
But in the second season, God.
Yeah, I was scrolling through Twitter today, and I literally saw something though for the Super Bowl tickets. The cheapest ticket, $4,800. The cheapest. That was
Fucking
nosebleeds,
inflation,
and that is American before tax. And in LA, in California, there's quite a bit of tax.
Super Bowl.
So essentially, the question is, tuition? Super Bowl.
Make a trip down,
Yeah. Anyway, that's a debate for another time. I feel. So about the Super Bowl. 2 weeks. Players may come back from injury. I know the tight end for the Rams. His name's escaping me. He got hurt. But
Higbee?
yeah, Higbee.
Higbee.
Higbee might be back.
Mm.
But predictions as of right now. Who you got putting money on it right now?
So if who I think's gonna win,
Prediction.
Betting
Betting man.
that is the LA Rams. But if I'm going for the value bet, I think Cincinnati has a chance to pull up the upset in this game. Oh, nah. Cincinnati has the chance. LA's the better team because you got Vaughn and Donald.
Don't forget. Whoa! They have more pieces on their line than just.
No, I'm saying those two. I'm saying those two on the line against a very terrible Cincinnati O-line, which has been constantly exposed all year, versus one of, if not the most sacked quarterback besides the god.
How many sacks
in that hair?
How many sacks in Tennessee? 9?
Yeah.
9.
Tied NFL
And they won.
season record of
It's
9
a team of destiny.
sacks. But
No, the Team of Destiny is your Philadelphia Eagles.
so you're
The best team in the NFL.
Who was the second last team to retire Tom Brady? Let's not forget.
We beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. That's all that
That
matters.
is true.
anyways.
Tom Brady can't be the NFC East.
Tom Brady's out of the league. I think that's for the better, to be honest. Yeah, because he's still not. Honestly,
Less entertainment, more
yeah.
new stars.
And I think, honestly, he might just take a year or two off, just come back and just win again.
Just like Michael Jordan. Because
Yeah, fuck it. He's Tom Brady. You know, I never
You
get
get more years in.
But interestingly enough, so sorry. Let's continue on topic. So we have Rams. Who do you think, Luca?
Again, like similar. Like okay, personally, I wasn't expecting either of these teams. Honestly, I like.
What do you mean, man?
Okay, so let me elaborate. In my heart, in every sports like semifinals, I look and usually there's two matchups, and I usually I have two teams I want favored to win, and every time without fail, it's one team I do want and the other one that I don't really like, and they become the villains in the World Series, which is how it should be for the team. This thing flipped the script because I thought for sure Chiefs were going, and I think a lot of people did, and then Bengals sort of pull out of nowhere. And the comeback win. And I also wanted the Rams to win over the 49ers. I thought it was going to be some suffocating stuff, but they pulled it out. So, really, it's a win-win either way. However,
Prediction, man.
yes. Time on the episode. Okay, this is basically stalling. But more so, I think just out of just pure safeness, you have to go Rams because they have built this team entirely for this. I was watching the video the other day of McVay, like recalling every single play.
Bro, McVay is
Like,
like top 5 coach in the league, man.
That's not what you're saying when you charged in here the other day after that first half against the 49ers.
It was maybe that moments.
Worst coach in the NFL. Fire him now.
Mateus,
They
20.
got-
And then they win. And
Well,
then you're like, ah,
see,
everything.
see, he just needed a little motivation. You know?
Winning cures all.
Exactly.
Winning cures all. But yes, no, I would go for the Rams. I would say it's not going to be a very like far game. I think it'll be like a 3-point spread.
Nah, you know what I think it's going to be? Here's what my prediction. You remember that game that the Rams had against the Chiefs when it was like 55-53?
Yeah.
It's going to be like that shit. Fuck defense. Fuck defense.
Yeah, the downside
It's
is pretty
literally-
risky.
But have you seen these receivers on both teams? They're going to go for yards, I'm telling you. So I think it's going to be an offensive shootout. And of course, horns up. You already know. Rams are going to win. Donald's going to get his ring. Stafford's going to get his ring. OBJ's going to get his ring. It's going to be fun.
Now, not to rain on your parade immediately, but how fucking epic would it be if Burrow just barges in first year in the playoffs and just sweeps the town? Like
He is already the first quarterback ever, if I'm not mistaken,
to be.
to be in the Super Bowl in a sophomore season.
Yeah.
So
He's also
producer Daniel. Can we get a verification on that? And if he's wrong, put him in cancel him out.
I got you.
Producer Danny, everyone. He's a
Producer
wonderful
Danny, shout
guy.
out Producer Danny.
Shout out producer Danny.
always shout.
But he's also,
Not cheers to producer.
cheers to
Danny.
Producer Danny.
Cheers to producer Danny.
Producer Danny, smart.
All right.
Joe Burrow is also undefeated in every in the playoffs and every playing level he's played at, and he is the only quarterback to defeat Patrick Mahomes that was not named Tom Brady.
Listen,
There's your
listen.
stats.
Those are stats, but you know what stats I'm looking at?
Mhm.
The Cincy's O-line against that D-line. Joe Burrow's phenomenal. He won't be alive after the game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
That's
the problem,
He's got to
man.
live. He's got to live.
That's the problem.
We saw it last year with because Cincinnati had the exact same problem last year.
Oh, yeah.
Burrow was getting hit too much, and it ended with him going down for the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
So to me, before Cincinnati will end up actually making that full jump to a true yearly Super Bowl contender, they gotta go first round, second round, third round, whatever round they have draft picks this year, go on that offensive line, and maybe a tight end, maybe a wide receiver to back up Chase. But you really gotta look up. You look at reinforcing that front line.
Absolutely, and that's why they're so remarkable. Because like this is like the demo team. It's like, oh, this is the good team that has been able to make the playoffs. They might win a game, but they're not expected to go far. Like this is the starter team.
Yeah.
So if you build on this throughout the years, there's definitely a championship for the future.
Yeah. I mean, AFC young quarterbacks, it's just stacked. You know, you got Herbert,
Josh
Mahomes,
Josh Allen.
Josh freaking Allen, man. He's
The fraud, Mac Jones.
The fraud.
And yes, you heard me, New England Patriots fans. The fraud,
Here we
Mac
go.
Jones.
Here we go.
No, I'm not. No, I refuse to Mateus to drink to that because he is a fraud. The man is a fraud. He is bad at football.
He's the victim of the Belichick system.
He is a victim of Patriots fans being idiots because they think it's the Tom Brady effect. Just like how we have in the NFL this year, we have the Seattle Kraken, so we have the Las Vegas Golden Knights effect.
Sportsman, come on.
They had the Las Vegas Golden Knights effect, which was literally just, oh, this team was good once, therefore this next team's going to be good in the exact same situation. I don't see it happening.
Anyway, speaking of frauds, the Tennessee Titans, as you know, I would honestly say humiliated by the Bengals with that performance and their expectations.
I would-
to them.
I would say humiliation for another game, but
They
it
were-
was not done.
They were very sadly my Super Bowl pick, and
Yeah.
I lost out.
And this is why I turned to your Mac Jones take. Anyway, speaking of the Titans, reports that Aaron Rodgers just bought a house in Nashville.
Oh,
Is Aaron Rodgers gonna go to Tennessee?
no, the only thing I would rather
All right.
go than to Tennessee is Pittsburgh.
Okay, so I'm gonna need to know the rundown of where his wife lives. That's what I would ask him for that. If his wife lives in Tennessee, then that could be a little smoke to that fire. But I'm not sure. That's interesting.
Well,
I didn't hear about that.
yeah, it's a report came out today, and let me tell you, Ryan Tannehill, man, is not.
He's not a.
He's not a quarter. He's not a playoff quarter. I'm sorry. He's not a playoff. He's a playoff quarterback.
He's a good quarterback, but like
No.
It was unavoidable at that point. You saw it. It was like right in front of you. It's like he can't do this.
The only thing he's good at is getting the ball and then turning to his right or left and giving it to Derrick Henry and letting that freak of nature run that football.
As you should. However, you also need to throw it a bit more. You cannot like you can't like
It's hard to
New
throw
England
when you
Patriots.
fucking can't. Man. That's his problem.
That's tough.
I don't think I saw him throw like any. I don't think I saw him throw like have like a 30-yard throw all year, man.
And it's really
I
interesting.
swear.
It's really
It's
interesting. to think
just
about.
short passes, bro. Like there were frauds from
Like
the
the
beginning.
Big Ben the entire season. If it's more than 5 yards, it's going to be incomplete.
That's an old man though. Tannehill's in his prime.
No, he's not. He's like 30.
Tannehill had a prime.
He's like 35.
He
Bro.
did somewhere.
He's like 35, getting paid $40 million a year.
Look, man, he's not worse. Now, all of this makes it very interesting. Just thinking about the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes and if that's even going to be a thing.
Well, reports say he does not want to stay in Green Bay, so
That we knew since the beginning.
And then and Green Bay does have the money to do it.
Yeah,
Even if
Green Bay's
they,
oh no.
they're royal.
Green Bay will maybe be a playoff team in 2030. Then we'll be. We're gonna
You know,
get that.
I have no faith in Jordan.
They're like Tampa Bay Lightning level in trouble, except they can't be competitive
Whoa.
at this point. Tampa Bay was not 44 million under the cap.
No.
They were a little bit more,
But
a little
anyway.
less. Anyway,
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I'm also a Lightning fan. So know a lot about them. Big, really happy on like these two poor Leaf fans.
hey man,
They haven't
look,
tasted
hey,
success.
look
we
at the
suffered together.
standings. Look at the standings right now, and you'll see the Toronto ahead of Tampa Bay if you look based off points.
Yes.
If I look at the numbers, I see 2-0.
I see though the ton of rings in our team's history, but like
Okay.
at the same time, that's 1967.
I applaud you.
Yeah, Toronto is shit since 1967.
Yes.
But we have a team for this future, and if when we look at the first half of this NHL season, we can see a a lot of really good surprise. Some teams are surprising better than we thought, even though we thought some teams were going to be good, such as Florida or such as Carolina. But they've even gone far and above that with Freddie Anderson putting in a truly career year.
Well, I think
We're hoping you can stay there.
I think we should save the NHL for the NHL segment.
I'm
we
sorry.
that's all right. We still have some NFL news to talk about, such as the Washington football team is no more.
No more.
What are your reactions to the Washington rename, the Commanders? I think that's terrible.
They're going to be called the commies.
Yeah,
They're going to be called the commies.
It doesn't tell for that one.
They are red and yellow, and they're like, oh, let's go with the Commanders.
Honestly,
I'm usually a defender of sports
I'm
teams.
drinking to that shit. On God.
To the Washington's decision.
Yes. I don't know. For one thing, I found it just fucking hilarious how someone found it out by like zooming into the stadium. That killed me last night watching the video. But everyone, I don't know. The Commander name itself, it just feels kind of bush league, but in a way, it's just not bad. I just prefer to say the football team.
Honestly, I
feel like there could be better names. Well, on the other hand, what better names were there? What better names would you?
If I recall, they had like Admirals in the naming process. I was a fan of that.
Well, Washington Admirals.
I think that was always a big fan of Washington football team.
Yeah.
And it made them special. It made Washington's name in football has been pretty dead for a couple years because you have the failed RG3 due to injury, and you have a bunch of the Alex Smith year experiment that went up with his leg.
It went almost his life.
And basically, it's
just catching bodies out here.
yeah. So with this whole rename, you have now you're switching your name twice in 3 years, which to me isn't a good thing.
Yeah, it's tough. Now, I doubt it was their intention to do it like this, but I would have at least waited a little bit more. It feels like it was just it was a little too soon. I understand it was always their plan to try and create the name, but I would have just had one in mind or just delay it as long as you. But it's nice.
Yeah, what's funny is I saw this video. It's the players were rating some of the names when they announced which ones they might choose.
Mm-hmm.
Commanders got an F grade. No one liked it. How does $1 billion we all know how big the NFL is. We all know how big. Despite Washington's shortcoming in recent years, they are still, I believe, the bare minimum, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what you got to think is, how much was that naming department getting paid for them to end up like this?
There's not even a correlation.
I'm a Commanders fan. Who the I feel terrible just saying.
It's still unique though. I'll give it that. There isn't a lot of other teams that have that kind of vibe to it.
No one's gonna call them the Commanders, though. They're rather gonna call them Washington or the Commies. If you hate that,
Manders. Just Manders. I'm a Manders fan, bro. I cheer for the Manders.
And then the last thing that we're going to talk about in the NFL is the big lawsuit. Brian Flores,
yes,
ex-Miami coach.
I'm not as educated in the subject of all this.
Big racial discrimination lawsuit for head coaches.
I do understand that.
But what I found more interesting was how he reportedly, and there's evidence to this, was offered $100,000 to intentionally lose in 2019. And in addition to that, there's now evidence coming out against the Browns that other owners are doing the same thing back in the 2016 and 2017 season. Now, this is a evolving situation. But, another report that came out today is he revealed that other coaches have been in contact with him, saying that they were offered money to lose as well. So, this I think opens on top of the lawsuit, I feel like this opens a huge can of worms for the NFL.
Yeah, that's the tip of the tuna can. This could be a lot more because you know how many teams have just been 0-16 the past years, especially having the Browns.
Again,
we could have gotten somewhat of a quarterback.
Again, there's evidence against the Browns for the 2016 and 2017 season where they did go win this.
Exactly.
So.
And then you look at like other aspects too, like how much does Budweiser contribute to that because of the whole like popularity of the beer fridge. It's not that like it's not that significant. But no, it puts that in perspective. Just like that's like if that's the case, which it looks like it is, that is like major problems because in every sport, it feels like there's like a talk of trying to stop tanking intentionally.
Yeah.
If there's like rivalry borderline going on, no. Ooh,
Well,
yeah.
what I heard, it might be worse than that because the Dolphins owner had some gambling stuff going on.
Well,
But I'm not.
which NFL
Well, again, I like. I'm not sure if this source is very reputable, so please take what I say with grains of salt. But there were reports, you know,
I believe it.
and there were also reports on them meeting on his private yacht to discuss about bringing in a quarterback, which was assumed to be Deshaun Watson, and he just walked out, which started their turmoil at the beginning of the season this year. So just a shit show in Parker, like, you know, with the lawsuit, with all this evidence about paying coaches to lose.
Yeah.
What do you think will happen?
Well, the big problem here is for if you like you can look at this from different perspectives from the league's competitive balance because if you think MLB is one of only two leagues, sorry, NFL is only one of two leagues to not have the major four here in North America to have a lottery. You got the MLB, which is the worst team, and the NFL has the worst team. So you have problems like the Jaguars who go get Lawrence. You have Cleveland getting Baker. You have like teams like this getting these really high picks because they're encouraged to with not having a lottery system. We've seen the decline with with tanking and other sports because of this lottery system that doesn't give you the slam dunk number one pick. So with stuff like this coming out, you're losing faith in franchises, especially like late in season because everyone loves to bet on a good football game, and then you get to the point of the end of the season, you're like, is this team supposed to lose? And if we look at this year, I think there was no situation like this because you have the two teams that would be the most encouraged to being Jacksonville and Detroit, and all they had to do was lose to get the first overall pick, and they both won their games.
They did.
Which I'm with there.
Which did end up giving
Suck
Jackson.
it, Colts fans.
I did not even think about the like sports gambling aspect of this.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other sports where this is just like immediately refuted, like Pete Rose situation. And so if this is
Well, mind you, think about that. This was what 17 games.
Yeah.
Right? So $100,000 per loss. I'm sorry, that's a shit ton of money.
that's 17,000.
That's
What? That's 17,000?
1,700,000. Correct my math.
so. I'm telling you, like,
Let's go.
like you have to really wonder, especially when as fans we question play calling a lot. In the games, like why on earth are they running this formation? What on earth is this coverage, right?
My Eagles team had a big situation with this last year with this pretty similar thing because they ended up getting the 6th overall pick. They ended up trading to Miami, which got the Eagles Miami's first round this year. And their last game of the season, it looked like they threw that game. They played Hurts for the first quarter, 2 quarters. He was playing very well. They were in the game, and they're like, we want the 6th overall pick. Because with the win, they were probably going to sit in like the 11 range. Yeah. But with the loss, they went to 6.
That's fair.
Which got them Miami's first this year, which now has them a boatload of picks this year. So I think the Eagles threw their game last year, and that also got a lot of people upset because there should be no tanking in the NFL. Every team should try to win every game.
So that leads me to believe that I feel like the ideal next step is the lottery, right? Like,
yeah.
It feels like that's the only way to sort of counterbalance this, at least in that sort of term. And it's more ironic that all the lesser sort of big sports organizations like MLB and NBA that they adapted this, but usually NFL is the top dog.
Well, yeah. If you do look at it though, the two more historical leagues are the MLB and the NFL, and they're the two that haven't incorporated the lottery. So is it like people's into the tradition? Is that what people are into? Because for the NHL system, it's worked out very well. Because you still do have the worst teams getting the first overall pick, like the Leafs have with Matthews, but it doesn't mean it's guaranteed, which is a big thing.
the fact that I was sweating on that draft lottery night speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like a Colorado situation where you have like set the like record for worst losses and you still didn't get the first overall pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's very interesting.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for NFL. This is ongoing lawsuit, lots of information coming out every day, lots of misinformation as well. So, well, that's the situation. We'll update you guys on next week. But now, I want to take us on a little spin.
We'll spin.
Because maybe because I want to talk about briefly the tennis. Rafa Nadal got his 21st Grand Slam.
Okay.
Djokovic has 20.
Yes.
Federer
That's 20.
has 20. So, listen, Nadal, he is the undisputed king of clay. The numbers don't lie. His play doesn't lie. I don't care what you tell me. You're wrong. Okay? They're not drinking to that because they know I'm right. All right?
There's not an
They
argument.
know I'm right. But, I think Nadal is favorite to win the French, thus putting him at 22 because Djokovic may or may not be allowed in.
Yes, that's a factor. Is Federer allowed in? Like, is there anything stopping him? Or is he injured right now?
No, he's just old.
Yeah.
So,
So
well, not the biggest sense.
with the Djokovic situation, that's always the question for like every tournament for like the foreseeable future. For is Djokovic able to play? Because you have the U.S. Open in the state of New York, which is there is a question mark there with them not with their COVID situation and when they have their breaks being off.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, it's all up in the air.
Yeah, but so I think this might change, the tennis GOAT conversation, at least for the
A
era.
little bit.
With now the tiebreaker being broken, there are some circumstances surrounding it, of course.
Yes, sir.
But I still think, coming down from 2 sets to none, in the finals, I believe that was like the second longest finals too.
Phone call. Phone call. I'm one.
Yo, bitch, we're recording the podcast. Producer, edit whatever, edit, thing out. I think it's a perfect time to talk about hockey.
What a transition.
So,
All right.
mid-season, let's hear some predictions. Any teams you think going to fall out of playoff spots? Any teams you think going to stay where they are? Any teams out of the playoffs going to jump in? What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I think the East is set in stone with the 8 teams, I believe.
Really?
The East has their 8 teams
You don't
because
think anyone
no
else
one from the Atlantic's going to catch. I don't have faith in teams like Columbus to catch.
Mhm.
So I think the East is set. But looking over at the West, you have a bunch of teams on that bubble because I think it's the Pacific Division is the definition of a tire fire.
Yeah.
They're top to bottom, terrible. So you have teams like you have a bunch of teams that have a chance to make the playoffs that don't usually make a playoffs in an actual season because of the large playoff format we have here in the hockey and the fact there are a lot of really bad teams.
Yeah, also, this is where I'd like to remind everyone, Parker's preseason prediction was that the Ottawa Senators would make the playoffs, and you just said the East is set in stone. Ottawa isn't there. For that, Parker, I'm taking a drink on your behalf on your shitty predictions.
I had faith after Ottawa's amazing second half of the season last
And
season.
you should, because it's a problem that they're this bad. They shouldn't be this bad.
Well,
They were a dominant force last year.
If we're talking
The
about
second half of the season.
how about them Stanley Cup finalists? The Montreal Canadiens.
You want to talk about tire fires, bro.
you are
My favorite part of my day is going onto Twitter and finding someone finding players who have more points than Nick Suzuki, who leads the Montreal Canadiens scoring.
no.
It's not as bad as it was before, but there was like Pierre Engvall scoring more than Nick Suzuki,
Well,
which was just sad.
You also have every single player on the Maple Leafs at least having the same amount of goals as the Calder winner, the unanimous preseason Calder winner,
You call
Cole Caulfield. And oh
You
my
call
god, it makes me so happy every single time I see that kid fail.
By the way,
That's terrible, but
No offense to him, but
no offense to him.
He knows.
The fans suck.
Yeah, Montreal fans, you're catching bodies out here.
A little bit.
This is
Little
where, if you want, producer Danny will put a timestamp. When to skip to when the NHL segment is over because we're gonna bully the Canadians some more. But speaking of no, avoiding talking about shit teams. How do you think the playoffs will go? Do you think that there will be much fluctuation in the standings as of right now?
Again,
No way Florida can stay this hot forever.
definitely not this hot, but they can stay at a consistent pace where they just keep winning games. Like instead of just blowing out teams 9-1, they'll probably win like 5-4s or like 5-2s, like in that sort of range. So no, I do have faith that Florida can go up to the top seed. I don't have faith they can continue to win the playoffs. And as a Leafs fan, we know that because we are. There's body tissue within us and everything. Being a Leafs fan is one of the worst toxic relationships you can ever go in, and that is fact. So
my ex would have something to say.
So the top seed truly means nothing in the grand scheme of things. And you see that in a lot of sports, especially in the NFL. So I agree with Parker. I think the East is pretty set in stone, with the exception of two teams that, if they go on a run, could make a run for it. And that is Islanders, because Islanders have 39 games played, as opposed to everyone else's 47. So if they go on a winning streak, they're right back in that mix.
With what goal scoring?
Oh, no.
With like Matthew Barzal having a career year. Oh wait, he's not. Lieb having an amazing year. No, he's not.
I cannot name you.
Varlamov having an amazing year in net. Oh wait,
I cannot name you like 5 Islanders forwards.
But the thing is, they've never had scoring. For the past 3 years, they never had scoring.
Well, they don't have defense much either.
No,
they get like what 44-year-old Char at the beginning of the year?
Yes, but the point is they've always won this way. So it is possible with a bad start, and they can make it up by some BS format because they're the Islanders.
Yeah,
and they're just lose. They're lose giant science project that always seems to win.
And then with the Islanders having they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals each of the last 2 seasons,
losing to Tampa. May I remind people?
And then Tampa ends up going to be terrible teams in the Stanley Cup Finals, including the terrible Montreal Canadiens.
So that's how
But one thing, though, if you look at over on the other side, you have a team that people thought were going to do well, started and now they're the #1 team in the NHL, the Colorado Avalanche, who physically cannot stop winning at home. Oh, wait, somehow they lost to the Arizona Coyotes. The worst team in the NHL has now beaten 2 of the top 5 teams, being Colorado and Toronto. And now that's bullshit.
And also Boston.
Bullshit.
Oh, no, sorry, Boston won.
Yeah. You see, Boston knows how to beat teams.
Boston has blown more 3-goal leads this year than the Leafs.
Interesting.
Think of that. They've blown 7. We've blown 6. We've won 3. But they've won.
We've blown 6.
Yeah.
Now that
I'm not proud of it, but it's fact.
Stanley Cup winning habits, am I right?
Yeah.
Mind you, though, I didn't have no habits. I swear, the
Yeah.
game plans just play hockey and hope Vasilevsky, who, by the way, if you dispute that he is not the greatest goalie on the planet right now, I'm sorry. Turn this shit off. Do me a favor. You do not deserve to be listening to this right now. He is unequivocally, I didn't say that right, but fuck it, the best goalie right now in the world. Yeah. And I think, when it comes, especially to the playoffs, you can change it instead of hockey to goalie. Because goalies can legitimately not just steal games, steal series.
Exhibit A, Jonathan Quick, 2011. Exhibit B, Matt Murray.
You're forgetting Mike Smith.
Well,
the Arizona Coyotes conference finalists.
They didn't win, though.
Yeah, but
it doesn't matter.
You're Leafs fans. When was the last time you guys went to a conference final?
No, but Jack.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, you had a better goal.
Oh, frick. Exhibit D, Carey Price.
Playoff Price?
Playoff. There's the most exhibit thing you can find recently. Like, he single-handedly dragged that team in the playoffs, especially looking now.
Yeah.
Seeing how they've fallen apart without Price and Weber is just it's astounding. It's insane how Winnipeg didn't even get a game off.
Well, Winnipeg also, I feel like Winnipeg and Edmonton had they just blew up internally that year. But again, let's not.
But Vegas couldn't even do it.
Okay, yeah, well, Vegas has mental issues. I'm sorry. Listen, Vegas and Colorado are never. To me, you remember the Capitals? They can never do shit until they got over like the hump.
That's Leafs. That's literally Leafs.
That's not the Leafs though, because the other
The
team.
Dallas
But we're
Mavericks.
worse.
Listen,
Yes.
you guys. I'm not even thinking of you guys right now. Full disrespect. I'm not even thinking about the Leafs. I'm thinking about at the beginning of the season, the two premier teams in the West being the Knights
Yep.
and the Avalanche.
Yep.
And I would say one of those teams has surpassed expectations, and one of them is faltering.
Now, I don't think it's that's their fault.
Injuries.
There's a lot of
Injuries.
injuries. A lot of
And
COVID.
when Jack Eichel is finally healthy and can
Oh,
play
dear
on that,
God.
that is just such a big piece. But even though I've always been an Eichel hater, he's still a good hockey player that can give you
I love
quality
Jack.
first line minutes every single night.
Boston College represent Jack Eichel,
Yes.
but going back, I think that the Knights and the Avalanche both have the mental block that the Capitals have, where until they can get
There.
until not even there, because the Knights have been there, mind you, they lost most of that core, but they don't. To me, they don't have guys with that killer instinct. You know what I mean? They don't have dude. Like you can say they do.
Stone.
You can say they do, but if you look at the track record,
Are we talking Vegas or Colorado? Right?
both. I'm saying both. I'm saying both teams have the same issue.
Look at
Stone.
Stone.
Stupid.
Stone had the run in Ottawa. Stone has been to at
Okay,
least.
you act like those Ottawa teams are kind of stacked.
Okay, sorry. That's a trick.
Or
most
they
people
don't.
know.
You have Theon Phaneuf. You have the last time he was good, Eric Carlson.
That's what I'm saying. And you
And
forget how
who
good.
besides Stone?
You forget how good. Listen. The Sharks have ruined Eric Carlson, man. I remember.
Aaron Carlson ruined Eric Carlson.
Bro,
It's not even his fault.
Bro, listen, I remember seeing that hair man streaking up the ice. You knew something special was gonna happen. Nowadays, I don't even see him. Like, he's like I think what, third line?
Well, he's injured and half his foot is gone.
Okay, well,
Practically. That's
Practically.
He played that entire playoff with like a torn tendon.
sucks to suck. Anyway,
No, I'm thinking for Colorado. Because Colorado people like fans
I like
are gonna look at you and be like, we have had no goalie.
I mean,
We had to use Michael Hutchinson
has
in
that
the
situation
conference final game.
has that situation changed?
Yes.
They have a goalie?
Yes.
Darcy Kemper.
Darcy Kemper. Who would you rather? Kemper or yours, Michael Hutchinson?
The goat.
Who are you choosing?
Michael Hutchinson.
Obviously, listen.
And with Michael Hutchinson, they got to the Western Conference Final Game 7 overtime. They got that with Michael Hutchinson.
They got in spite of themselves.
Yes.
Like that's it's insane to think about.
Well,
Now you have the dangle dream going off.
now all they need to do is,
Like and say
make it to the finals. Like, come on, win the West. It can't be that like.
McKinnon, Landeskog, and Brampton are the big three.
Like,
And if they would show up,
Makar and Taves on the back line.
Yeah.
Kadri's playing phenomenal this year.
How many points does some kids for? Tell me.
He's on. Listen, I don't know.
I know.
Okay, then if you know it, well, you just fucking don't
I
know.
won't even guess.
Okay, 120.
You're exactly right.
Again, this is why you listen to my prediction, folks, and not fucking Parker's. Anyway, why me? Because
When the Rams lose the
okay,
Steelers,
so
Yeah.
Titans winning the Super Bowl. We all know how that went. Ottawa making the playoffs. Look at this.
That was my bold preseason prediction.
it was bold.
It was bold and it was wrong. Have you ever made a bold prediction that was wrong?
Yeah, the Leafs winning a series. I had them against Montreal.
That wasn't bold.
You and everyone else in Ontario.
You and everyone else in hockey.
Yeah.
Well, oh well. Guess the Leafs can't do it.
They make me so sad.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
The big thing for the Leafs is that I think this defense needs a little bit more of a bit more of a depth.
Well,
Like-
not Klingberg,
No.
not Chikrin. You need someone who can guard defensively in front of the net and be strong and tough. You need right-handed Jake Muzzin.
I present to you Josh Manson.
Josh Manson?
Josh Manson, who for some reason is being dealt in the first place, despite Anaheim's success, but they're a small market of a team that they can't waste these assets.
I
They
propose
can't lose these guys for nothing.
none of this will matter when the Leafs inevitably lose in the first round yet again.
No, when they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning.
See, that's the weirdest thing. I've never feared Tampa. I've feared Boston a couple times. I've never feared Tampa. I feel like even if we lose, at least I know we play our best.
Yeah.
Well,
Montreal, we just know in hell.
As long as we don't lose to Boston 7 games, I don't care what we do next season.
Yeah.
As long as it's the season, as long as it's not losing to Boston in 7. That is the only
Or 4.
nightmare. No, 7. I would rather lose to Boston in 4 than to Boston in 7.
I don't know. That might happen. Only one way to see how this thing turn out, right?
Yeah.
But moving on now. I think we should talk a little hoops.
Oops.
Little
Steve
hoops,
Nash,
you know.
There you go.
These
There you
people,
go.
you know. You already know.
Mavericks.
But
Despite being a Raptors fan.
yeah, I'm a Steve Nash. Listen,
Yeah,
Steve
Steve.
Nash. I'm a Steve Nash fan. You know, been to the basketball camps. You know, you heard the Nelly Furtado bar. Game MVP like Steve Nash. That's me.
Canadian represent.
That, you know, Canadian represent. You know, we out here. But the NBA trade deadline is fast approaching. It's in less than a week. Yeah, it's in less than a week. So
Oh my god.
a lot of teams said they would be selling. A lot of teams, people thinking they buying. A lot of players, no one knows what's going on with. You know, a certain situation in Philadelphia with an Australian. But you know, I just want your thoughts. You know, what teams you think should be making moves? What teams you think are selling, trying to get rid of guys? Let's hear your thoughts.
Well, from my bias, from a Raptors perspective, you gotta think they gotta go after someone, and you got an amazing trade asset in Dragic. And if you can sell him off to get a backup PG or someone that can play the center position and give you good minutes, or because you're overplaying 2 of your best players right now with an OG and Freddie V.
Immediate, like Fred leads the league in minutes played.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you just say he was like a valuable asset? He has not played a minute this year.
He's still a valuable asset on the trading market.
Makes sense.
No one wants him. Like no one know. Like honestly, you cannot look me in the eye and tell me his
One
value.
person wants him.
Who wants?
It's Miami.
Miami wants him back.
I don't need a good piece for him, but I'll take
You
something.
take that cap
I'll take a
space.
player.
You
I'll
take the
a
cap space in the second round.
Dragic's making Larry money. Don't forget this. He's
Honestly,
making Larry money.
but why would Miami? Like I don't know.
That was always the plan.
I don't think Miami wants it. If anything, I would
Well,
look at. I
If
would look,
Larry goes down, if the backup PG goes down there,
maybe. The thing is I think what the Raptors need is first and foremost a fucking bench. Their bench has been god awful all year.
there's been a bench.
My thought is
Boucher.
actually, like, listen, Trey Boucher, the Block Québécois, whatever nickname you have
He's
for
been
him,
great.
Slim Duck, he's been playing well.
He's been great.
Now let's go down the depth. Who's our 7th man? exactly. You don't even know him.
You know what?
Nick Nurse, Nick Nurse has to play the fucking starters 50 minutes in that last overtime game. They're gonna be exhausted by the playoffs. They're gonna die.
Yes,
Like it's not sustainable ball.
you need better options than Spike Mahaliak, Kem Birch, and Pressure.
Listen, Mihailuk, I like Mihailuk. You know,
Yeah,
like
I
I like who's a Rexdale kid? Baton. I love Baton.
You have a lot of players with potential here, but you don't have anyone here that can give you quality minutes down the stretch in the season that has truly like impactful minutes.
They're all dog shit. They're all dog shit. No disrespect. But listen,
Not dog shit, just like not.
they're
They're not the level that you need to be a true contender in the dominant East, because you have teams such as Brooklyn, who's in 6th place in the division, who to me is still the biggest threat in the entire conference.
They're never going to be healthy. But
There's too much turmoil going on there, but it's a fair fear of that because
So-
when KD takes over, I have an ideal player potential for a Raptors fit.
let's hear it.
It is so Pacers are tearing it down, right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Everyone-
I don't think. Listen. I don't think there's information.
I know you do. Everyone's going after the Sabonis's, the Turners, the Karis LeVerts. The Karis LeVert's another guy I think that should fit really well with the Raptors system. But if you're looking for something that you can be cost efficient and not have to give up a whole lot for and still get decent value out of, it's TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell is a great facilitator with the ball. He doesn't average that many points, but having that kind of guy there at least gives Van Vliet some rest time.
I always
He's a
see him.
serviceable defensive player.
He's good. He racks up those steals, but I'm not sure about I'm an analytics guy. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. how much, because I'll be honest, I test because who the fuck watches Indiana Pacers game?
No.
No one watches Indiana.
Except in Save Indiana.
You know, like even Indiana fans
Are you
they
sure?
don't watch whatever.
Indiana Pacers franchise, the entire franchise, is the definition of mediocrity. They're never the worst team in the league. They're never the best team in the league. They're always in the middle.
Exactly. So, well, this year they're on the bottom, and
Almost.
let me tell you, my biggest trade theory, and I don't know, it may not make the most sense, but let me tell you, Sabonis to the Warriors.
Yeah, we've been to this.
Now, that doesn't make sense. You may think that doesn't make sense at first, but think about it. Who are the Warriors running at the 5 right now? Looney? You know what I mean? Like, Kevon Looney? Like, come on. I think with Sabonis, it gives them a threat on the interior. And people like to say, oh, he's a defensive liability. Mayhaps, but as Draymond has shown, he can help turn players such as Wiggins, who are, perceived as lower than average defensively, into better defensively with things such as you can watch the tape. He's pointing out positions, he's calling out plays. Draymond is honestly, I think right now he should be Defensive Player of the Year. But that's a separate discussion.
This is not a offensive. I'm not offended by this opinion, but it is a hot take.
But with Sabonis, they're starting 5 because I think they'd have to trade Wiggins to match salary here.
Yeah.
But I think imagine
All-star starter Wiggins.
Okay,
Keep that.
that's bullshit. That should have never fucking happened. But a starting 5 of something like Sabonis, Draymond, Poole, Clay, Curry. I'm sorry. They now have a threat. On the inside. Sabonis has proven. You remember he had a 42-point game on like 86% efficiency.
Yeah.
I think him in that pick and roll system, and he's proven he's a maybe slightly below average shooter, but from 2 he's really good at those deep 2s. He just hasn't found his way to expand his range into 3. And additionally, he's a decent playmaker out of the post, right?
Yeah.
So I think with another player in the post who can pass similar to Draymond, except better around the rim, more height, more size, I think that fit makes a lot of sense personally. And the Warriors, they would have to give up a lot. But I think in that Western Conference, the way it stands right now, or even in the East, you're gonna need a dominant, not even a dominant. You will need a solid big man.
And I think in the West right now as well, you have a giant opening with, in the past couple of years, there's been both LA teams being, they're the 2 clear-cut favorites. And then this year, there's a bit of an opening because you only really have the Suns as Golden State's only competition. So if Golden State can go out and get another big piece, that to me puts them over the Suns and will give them a good shot to win the title.
That's, again, I share your sentiment 100%. As you were, both LA teams, I think one of them is missing the playoffs.
That's a whole other can.
At least. So, but thinking of LA, do either of them need to make a move to get into the playoffs?
Even though I want to say, I think LA, both teams will probably scrape their way into the playoffs and be quick first-round exits.
Plans.
Yeah, play-ins.
First round plans.
And you'll see, because the big thing with the Lakers and the Clippers is, when is their next first-round pick for either of them? They've traded both and basically ruined their franchise.
Is 2027 first rounder. That's their next.
And that's their big trade piece, their 2027 first-round pick.
Yep.
At a certain point, you have to use a draft pick eventually, and so you kind of
they're LA now. They don't. I just want to join them again.
I know. There's only so far you can dig this hole. And you did it for the sake of LeBron James. You got to get him all the talent you possibly can to surround him. You have a guy like him. You cannot waste the surroundings. You can't have him to pull the same thing he's been doing in Cleveland the whole time.
Yeah.
Which has effectively been a big degrader in his claim to be the greatest of time. Because he's had horrible teammates.
Yeah.
Not as people, but as players. He's been dragging teams from the ground up. So you had to spend that kind of capital.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you need to sort of spread the wealth, and not in the sense of draft picks. You got to take these guys that are sort of anchors and just find a way to sort of bring something out of it.
Yeah.
Whether it be cap space, whether it be just like minor role players. I don't know if they can. Like you're not playing. You don't have another choice. It's either you ride with this team that you have right now.
They have to.
Too much money in the top three.
Yeah.
Yes.
Westbrook's getting paid even more money next year.
Exactly.
A declining point guard who relies on athleticism. I'm sorry. You've seen how many blown dunks he's had this year. He can't get up like he used to.
His like just highlight reel this year is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like so many of these shots are just like, how do you even do it? Like I make those shots. Like I hit like the backboard when I attempt to shoot at the rim. Like that's my thing. You can't be doing that, bro. You're getting paid $40 million.
I think more, and he's getting paid more next year.
Oh,
Again, I'm pretty sure the Clippers also they have no assets, right?
Yeah.
But
You want another Indiana fit potentially?
what's
Or
your
team?
if you think I don't know, Indiana they're the rumored big sellers, right?
Oh yeah.
And another team that you can go, but I just want to throw out there another team that was reported to be a big seller, the Sacramento Kings.
Yes, they have no faith in that.
They've had I don't know, like I keep reading these conflicting reports, and I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think a combination of Heald, Fox, or Halliburton will be gone at the deadline.
They shouldn't do Halliburton. I think other pieces are correct. Because Fox has been here.
Marvin Bagley, like whatever the hell.
Bagley especially.
Bagley. I think Bagley's got to go.
Bagley hasn't wanted to been there since like 2018. Like,
Yeah.
it's been like one of those situations. But on that note, quickly, Boston's gonna do something stupid.
You think?
I feel it in my bones, and
It's the Boston thing to do.
Who's leaving? Who's leaving?
Jalen.
I
I think Jalen could go another way in a
Jalen.
potential like Darren Fox kind of swap.
Ooh,
I
really?
feel that
People have talked about maybe going Jalen Brown and seeing if Mr. Ben Simmons. That's been brought up in the past. I don't think it's going to happen, but it has been brought up in the past.
Maury's still asking for like way too much.
Yeah.
well, it is his right, considering he's been kind of just like cornered in this kind of situation. I mean, he hasn't had to trade him at all. And his team's been fine. Philly's second in the East
The
right now.
playoffs broke
Ben
Ben Simmons. And this isn't and if you look back, I remember hearing reports that like Toronto as a city has been known in the playoffs to break players. It has broken Embiid, and there's
Philly.
and
Philly
yeah,
are
so like
on every sport.
so when the team like keeps getting beat up badly in the playoffs, and Ben Simmons was the poster boy of blowing up in the playoffs last year, it got in his head, which has now shown for multiple Philly players.
Yeah.
Sorry, so you can go now. Just quickly add something.
Yeah, so, and again, that's not the first time we've seen this.
Yeah.
Like, big one is Markel. Markel Fultz is in Orlando right now. And why he's not, like, being the star potential first overall pick he's doing better than he was doing in Philly.
Yeah.
He was scared to shoot a free throw.
Yeah.
Like, that, it is a huge aspect of
Philly fans are nuts. They throw snowballs at Santa. like Philly people are the definition of lunatic. That's why Rocky's from there. Homeboy doesn't back down from anything.
Gritty, bro. Like that's the mascot. Imagine the fucking fans.
You got Gritty, the Philly fanatic. You have literally people that shows up in kids' nightmares, just like any person from Philadelphia does.
Philadelphia sports. Fuck you.
Like literally, Gritty.
It's all love.
Gritty is literally. It looks like he's on coke. Like it literally looks like he's on coke. His eyes could not be blind. He is Donald Trump on coke. Like that's not a statement.
Okay, listen.
All right.
Pulling us back to topic, I was actually reading an article by the other day. I believe it was by The Athletic, where it wasn't Ben Simmons didn't want to play because he was mad at Embiid for putting the blame on him in that postseason series against the Hawks. But I don't know. I didn't see Embiid within a foot of the basket give up a pass when you're only guarded by Trae Young. I'm sorry, you're 6 foot. This Simmons, he's listed at 6'10". Trae Young is listed at like 6 foot, if that. If they're rounding up and being nice to him, I'm sorry.
Why it's so shocking? Like, bro,
And he did not. And again, I'm an analytics nerd. Trae Young is one of the worst defensive guards in the league, which is why Atlanta is which is why
they're coming back.
they're slightly, but again, defensively they have 7. Listen. They win their games by shootouts. Defensively, Unfortunately, Clint Capella was not the rim protector that he once was pre-injury. Ever since injury, his numbers haven't been the same. He doesn't affect as many shots as he used to. And then they have no perimeter defenders.
Collins wants out. That's the thing too, right?
That's a rumor, I believe, because he signed that fatty extension.
He did, but then he burst his vision. There was always tension between those two, right? Like Collins and Trey.
I'm pretty sure
It was
rumors.
yeah. It was respectful tension. It wasn't anything personal.
Yeah. But who knows, right? Who knows?
Who knows, indeed.
So,
what was your point you were gonna make? Was it
it was just that Simmons was specifically mad at Embiid, which is one of the reasons why he wants out. But then I look at Embiid. I would honest to God say, he is right now. I would one of the top 3 MVP favorite.
He does have to be in the MVP conversation.
He is. He doesn't have. He is.
Yeah, he is.
If you look at the stuff he's been doing in Philly, the numbers he's been averaging.
Who's better? Give me another thing. I love DeMar DeRozan. I think he should be in that conversation as well. But like, he's not single-handedly
Giannis. Averaging 29 points and 12 rebounds in under 30 minutes a game.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Giannis is a fucking cheat code in the game of basketball. We
all know
that. And then I think I know I'll get hate for this. You guys get your drinks ready. I think Jokic should also be in that conversation.
That's fair.
His numbers.
It's just because you have him in fantasy.
No,
you draft him number 1 in fantasy, and you're like, no, I gotta put this down my throat. He's in it. The military himself.
Listen, Curry. I would have Curry higher, but he had that slump. KD is with an injury right now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm looking at impact players. Jokic, have you seen the plus minus for the Nuggets when he's on versus when he's off?
You mentioned this to me, yes.
It's it's over 20 points. And then when you look at his numbers, he's averaging something like 26, 10, and 8.
Yeah, he's also just being a menace defensively, which helps out that
his defensive play has upped. I would argue improved of last year with more key players on the Nuggets being injured.
Yeah.
Porter Jr.'s hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Murray's still been out, right? Again, no disrespect, but he's kind of doing this,
all by himself.
He's doing this by he has no other
LeBron James style.
Listen, he ain't playing. He's playing with scrubs. Okay, let's keep it real. He's with scrubs right now, and he is putting work. So, again, I think Jokic should be in consideration.
Is Will Barton still there? Or did he get traded?
Will Barton's still there, I'm pretty sure.
Is he? Who got traded?
Bobo.
This boy says Bobo.
Bobo got traded.
Yes, he did.
Paul Millsap, I think.
Millsap, maybe.
Was he still there? I don't honestly know. The NBA is just a carousel of reusing the same 5 players over and over.
Will Barton is there.
Yeah, I told you.
It was another guy.
Eric Gordon's still there. He's
Facundo Campazzo. My boy. Italian pride.
Scrubs. Alright, so I think that's going to end it for today's episode. I think we've talked enough. We covered a variety of topics.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you guys so much.
Tune in to the first episode if you are. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for everyone tuning in. Really much appreciated. Make sure to check out our socials. We have Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you use.
Links in the description.
Links will be
provided right here.
Thanks to producer and editor Danny. Thank you very much.
Danny.
And then for next week we're gonna complete the last part of our shows with viewer submitted questions. We'll give our takes on them.
Mm-hmm.
So put them, either DM us on Twitter or Instagram with your questions, and we'll make sure to feature you in our next video. Thank you guys very much. Cheers. Hope you guys enjoyed our hot takes and stuff, and have a wonderful, wonderful day wherever you are. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.